I'm going to make a start here. My name is Amarpreet Kalkat. I'm the founder of Humantic AI. Uh, Along with me today is going to be Ken Cohen over here. He's the SVP sales at JK Moving Services, America's largest independent moving company. And he'll be talking about their experience with taking what we call a buyer-first approach to selling today. Now, what do? In one line, we bring science to trust building. So we turn trust building in the selling context into a science is what we do. Anyone here who's in sales? Are you in sales or quick show of hands? Okay, salespeople. Have you ever been ghosted, yelled at, asked to, never call me again, all of that good stuff? Yes? Yes? Yeah. Happens, right? We've come to accept it. Oh, sales, this is what sales is, this is what happens. Now, there's something worth introspection here, I like to think, which I'll come back to in a second. But before that, what is happening in the sales world today? 7 out of 10 sellers are not hitting quota. I mean, we all know it, right? We've all seen it. The numbers actually even worse. There was a reduction in quotas. 80% of the revenue is brought by 17%, 81% actually of the sellers. And then, of course, AI, right? We hear because of AI, AI is coming for sellers, they say. Well, we're slightly luckier than software engineers, at least. I think they have it worse than we have, but they created it, so they maybe they deserve it in some ways. But AI is coming. Now, the other side here is that it's not every seller's story. The top rep is not struggling. The difference between a top rep and an average rep is not 3x, it's not 5x, it's not 10x, it's 21x. This was a Pavilion report earlier this year based on around $50 billion in revenues. So that difference is 21x. Why? We believe that the big difference between top sellers and the average seller is what we call buyer-first selling. It's the ability to put your buyers, your customers first. It's not a sufficient condition. You just can't be a buyer-first seller and say, oh, this is great. But it is, we believe, a necessary condition. Without it, just think of any top rep that you know, odds are they're extremely, extremely, extremely buyer-focused. We're not the only ones saying it. Gartner says we've dehumanized buyers. And if you just change that, you close 30% more. Imagine being able to do 30% more quota every quarter, every month. LinkedIn literally did a report 4 years ago and said, our vision of selling is, they actually called it buyer for selling. I was surprised to see, when I saw that. Research shows the same thing. When we start putting the buyers first, our results improve dramatically. Like we keep focusing on clean data. I've seen so many companies. The improvement from that, the data shows, is 24%. Personalization, buyer-focused personalization, is 10x of that. So that's really what is happening out there. So what is buyer-first selling? In very simple terms, it's about putting our buyers, our customers first, of course. It is about selling, but making it about them, talking their language, being able to understand what does a buyer want. That is what buyer-first selling is. Yes, we want more revenue. We salespeople, here. The 2 ways to close more revenue: sell more or help buyers buy more. We just keep focusing on helping sellers sell more. Seller productivity, seller efficiency, all of that good stuff. All sales AI tools are seller productivity. How about the buyers? Buyer first is about putting the spotlight on the buyer, their experience, and saying, let's make it about them. And when you do that, what happens to your sales? What happens to your relationships, your trust? If the kind of sales you do is about trust and relationships, it's dramatically different. I'm going to give you a quick run of what does it look like, a couple of minutes, then I'll come back to one or two more points.
This is John. John is a senior leader at a Fortune 500 company. Since he started his day, he's got 7 generic cold calls, scanned and deleted 17 AI-generated sales emails, and is on his 5th cup of coffee. John is your average buyer in the age of AI, and he is just so tired. So if you are an ordinary rep, you're about to have a bad time. If you are a Humantic user, however, you're already the most trusted advisor, because with buyer intelligence, you know John even before you exchange a word. You know that he is all about the results, that he appreciates big ideas and bold steps, that he likes being challenged, and that he's a less talk, more action kind of guy. Your road to becoming his trusted advisor started as soon as he was identified as a lead. Marketing super qualified him because they saw that even his personality matches your ideal buyer persona. Then, his account was assigned to you. As the perfect personality match for John, you're the most likely person to convince him. Last week, he got an email from you that stood out in his crowded inbox, because it was personalized specifically for John, and not just any name on a spreadsheet. And all it took was a single click. Today, before the big meeting, you get John's personality insights right in your inbox, along with essential do's and don'ts. Actionable tips and compelling phrases you can naturally weave into your conversation, so you go into the meeting confidently, knowing exactly what to say to pique your buyer's curiosity and earn their trust. What results is an incredible human connection. Plans are made, next steps are discussed. Instead of a tired buyer, you have an excited believer and a champion. In a world where buyers are drowning in automated cookie-cutter messaging, use buyer intelligence to become a buyer-first seller. Give your buyers the authentic, personalized, and above all, human buying experience they deserve. Say hello to becoming buyer-first. Say hello to Humantic AI.
So that's a little bit of how it comes to life, really. But the big question, if you're wondering, saying, okay, if this is so cool, if this is such a great thing, Amarpreet, then why haven't I heard about this before, right? I mean, we should have known it all along. Conceptually, of course, we do. Now, let me tell you, the technology that helps us go buyer first, it did not exist 10 years ago. Just like LLMs didn't exist 5, 6 years ago, the technology underlying this did not exist 10 years ago. The research papers came out about 10, 11 years ago. It started becoming a thing around 5 years ago. I would say started going mainstream around 3 years ago. We'll talk a little bit about that. But the technology is about being able to predict people's behavior, personality, right? That's how we think almost all the time. Being able to predict that because there's enough data out there. So that's we call it buyer intelligence. That's the technology that helps us get to that sacred place, if you will. And as I said at the beginning, it's really about the way we see it is about bringing science to trust building. The analogy I use often is, if trust building is a destination, right? Some of us are on that journey, some not. If we are, then we've been sailing towards the destination in like those wooden Viking ships, right? Some of them get there, some of them don't get there. It's like, yeah, some people have that art, most don't. We turn that journey, this is like getting on a plane. Now you're getting on a flight. It's a science. You will get there if you just put in that trust. We've seen it firsthand. We are the second most popular and adopted sales AI of 23 and 24 in the North American mid-market. I mean, ahead of us is only Salesforce, and that doesn't really count, right? Salesforce is Salesforce. So, yeah, our average impact on revenue is very, very, very significant at this point of time. I'll talk about that in a minute. But before that, this is not even the biggest reason you should be considering going buyer first. So let me ask this question. It's a bit of a rhetorical question. We all like to say, if I say, do you care about your customers? I think anyone here who would say, no, we don't care. All of us say, hell yes, right? Hell yes. Now, a second hard question when I ask this, what do you do to walk the talk? What do you actually do to be, caring for the customers? We in sales, what do we do? What are we really doing? So we call it me first selling. Isn't it all about, my approach, my medic, my quota, my product, my features, right? That's what most of us are. So the advisor, his name is Barry Silverwine. He's my mentor, and so Barry always says, when this wasn't possible, it was okay. And today he says, when I don't see people adopting this, to me it's a malpractice. That's what he calls it. He says a malpractice because it's possible. One of our biggest customers is Amazon, and they talk about customer obsession as the central value. And when I asked them why us, they said, we've never seen a technology before this that helps us obsess about the customer better. So that's a little bit of where it is. So yes, from Amazon, world's most customer-obsessed company, to US largest power utility, one world's highest rank, to even the world's most well-known, you probably know it, soccer team. Everyone has been adopting the buyer-first approach. It's been becoming, I call it a silent movement the last couple of years. Thank you, everyone, for coming by. As AI today, while it can automate and do a lot of those things, it also has this potential to assist humans and turn them into superhumans, super sellers. We believe in that. That's what we help our customers do. If you have a moment, a booth's right there. Please drop by. We actually have a book written by one of our friends. It's actually called Buyer First Selling. So there's a book on it. So please swing by. It's a free gift for you. Thank you so much, everyone, for coming by.